Welcome to Albion TV presents the AO Daily Show, your source of real news in an unreal world, keeping you up to date on the latest news, events, and the great community of Albion Online. Today is Wednesday, the 21st of July, 2021. I am your host, the Shozen One, and joining me today, as always, my co-host, the man who buttons his ties. Yes, it's Bogul.
Hello, what's up?
I have an interview for the folks of Albion.
Nice. I am already stationed here in Thetford, next to the faction general, and I'm watching some purple tagged men stand in front of that, sir. I think the Bandit event just ended right before we started that show today. And I think there's a reference, there's a connection to the interview today.
Thetford. Yes, we interviewed members of the Thetford Elite. I interviewed Ckx, I should say Archmagus Ckx, the most famous fame getter of all famers in all of the Thetford faction.
Let's do that properly. So you go to rankings, and then you go to all time, and you go to faction standing, and then you look at the Thetford faction, and then you look at all time, and then did you know that every faction has a honorary title for the first ranked player of that faction?
I do now.
Yeah, Fort Sterling, Archon of the Mountain, Bridgewatch is Tempest of the Sands, Limhurst is Protector of the Forest, Carleon is the Nameless, and did we forget anybody? Thetford is, of course, Archmagus of the Mire.
The Archmagus of the Mire, yes. Oh, I forgot of the Mire. I didn't even include that. Archmagus of the Mire, Ckx. And
Nice.
Jay, the GM of the Thetford Elite and owner of the Thetford Elite Discord, which we will have to link a number of times during this conversation. I will also be giving away everybody's favorite thing, Bogul.
Faction points?
Yeah, their favorite thing.
Gold.
Yes.
Exclamation mark raffle in the Twitch chat. Keep an eye on Twitch chat because we will not announce the winners live. So keep an eye on that. There's a new raffle just started now. How many?
We'll announce them live, Bogul, on Twitch chat.
Right,
but we're not going to interrupt the interview to say them over the air.
All right. Do we need to introduce them any further, or can we just go ahead and play today's interview, sir?
I think I just did introduce them pretty good. I mean, for the interview, I said they represent Thetford. One of them is the Archmagus of the Mire.
You're repeating yourself.
So you know they're good. Yeah. I mean, what else?
No,
can I say that's not going to be in the interview? Okay. All right. Let's do this. Welcome to the Albion TV interview series. I am the Shozen One, and today I am joined by two members of the Thetford Faction Warfare faction, and we're going to talk a little bit about how Thetford has gone from, I guess, worst to first over the last couple of months and how they got there. We have Ckx, who is the Archmagus, the #1 fame getter of all of Thetford's faction. And we have Jay, who is the GM of the Thetford Elite and owner of the Thetford Elite Discord. And I believe there's even a Thetford Elite Alliance out there. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves a little bit. We'll start with Ckx. And then, Jay, you can explain who you are after that.
Thank you, Shozen. Thank you for having us. So I'm basically a faction warfare enthusiast from the day one. The SPI did such a great content for such as all Ultimate Online players like me, which is like to be part of the faction warfare there, such as like Order and Chaos. And since day one, I fight with other faction blocks, with great guys, with Russians, with other guilds that mess for us for the Thetford until we got the great business squad.
And Jay?
Hey everyone, thanks for having us. Jay here. I go by Julia in game with 2 eyes. Yeah, I'm basically just a former plot owner. I had a lot of spare money and I wanted to bring Thetford out of the dump that it was in to glory in faction warfare. I enlisted the help of people like CKX, who's been, I think, the biggest contributor to our efforts, and we've had some good results, earning first place last month in a faction warfare event. And we're ultimately trying to build upon those successes and bring ZVZ to the new players, allow them to enjoy some of the content that was exclusive to past guilds, like to big Black Zone guilds like Blue Army and Sun. It's really nice. We're having a great time doing it.
So what you're saying is you're trying to get people involved in the earliest forms of PvP the earliest forms of large-scale PvP in the most accessible way possible, and then teach them what they'll need to learn to take that onto the next level with one of the more elite level guilds out there in Albion.
Yeah, absolutely. I was a big fan of Guild Wars factions growing up, and I liked how in that game you could just join a faction and then represent that faction. You didn't really need, there wasn't Discord back then, but you group up with randoms. So we're seeing that with Albion, but some of the other factions are way stronger and way more advanced, have better parties than Thetford. And I found that it would be really rewarding to myself. That's kind of the content that I enjoy, to see them come out of nothing and see CKX, achieve his goals with the help of other like-minded individuals.
Let's talk about the early days a little bit. So there was a time when faction warfare came out. It's not that long ago now. And Thetford was in last place. You had the fewest members, you had the fewest points, you had the least amount of territory, and you guys decided that you were going to represent this place?
I mean, not at the start, but there was like some real dark times after like Rack, the Russian powerhouse guild, stopped messing or stopped playing Albion Online. But at first, yeah, we had some real bad times between those like 2 to 3 month mark in the campaign.
How did this happen? How did you guys get together? Because I understand one of you is heavily involved in PvP, and one of you is, I guess, a merchant.
Right.
I just don't expect. I just don't expect Bogul all of a sudden to start representing Martlock and leading Martlock to victory.
Yeah, exactly. I think really, I don't want to expand too much on this, but Thetford is kind of like my little home. I used to own plots in Thetford, made some money, and this is my way of giving back. Ultimately, in the guild that I'm running, Thetford Elite, we provide regears to our members who fight in our main parties. And we have 0% guild tax. And if they really like faction warfare and they're enjoying the content, we want to reward them for it if they're active. And I like the idea that we can help new players. And I've got a lot of silver in game. I think it's a great use to use that silver as a way to build Thetford up and make it very competitive against the bigger factions that have significant backing by more established guilds like Bridgewatch and Fort Sterling. They're very well run.
Early on, what caused you to build this, and what were the early days of the Thetford Elite? Because from what I understand, at first you didn't have CKX. You asked CKX to join later. How did the Thetford Elite start, and how did it grow to be the much more effective fighting force that you're using today than what was there before? How did it get from a disorganized group of players just running around with their heads cut off and being completely outnumbered to at least having the most organized, if not small, group in the faction warfare?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I was in a pretty hopeless shape for the Thetford faction once the Rack stopped messing for it. So Jay reached out to me, and explained his idea, and at first I wasn't very into it because you know how it is, like teaching someone from get-go, like the red zone PvP, full loot, and some kind of at least mid-level ZVZ positioning and compositioning. It seemed like impossible for me to take the job, but he gave me a shot, and I guess I just take that chance and turn it into at least somewhat even better organized team for the Thetford, what we have now.
Right, and I'll just expand a little bit on that. I created the Thetford Elite Discord. Originally, it was called Thetford Gang Discord, and I just started inviting the active players who were contributing to Thetford faction already. We picked up. I reached out to CKX. I basically reached out to like the top, 50 players. I even sent like in-game mail, and I was like, "Hey, join my Discord, and I'll give you some silver." A couple people took me up on it. A couple people were like straight up ignored me. I think some of it was because of language barrier. But ultimately, we were able to attract a couple of members, specifically CKX and Ben Mage, who are now the leaders of the Discord. And with their influence, we were able to attract more and more as we started running successful parties and doing well in the red zone during Bandit. We also were doing giveaways, and I had to convince the owners of the now Albion Online community to add our Thetford faction Discord as the official Discord. So once we reached 100, we got added, and then before we knew it, we were at 1,000 members. I think we're almost at 1,200 today in a little over 6 weeks.
1,200 members of the Faction Warfare Discord just for Thetford?
Yes.
And how many of that is spies?
I would say maybe 10%, but
Okay.
we do a pretty decent job of weeding them out. We have a verified channel. You need to have faction rank of Knight in order to qualify.
Oh, okay. All right. So you can't just jump right into the Thetford Discord. You have to actually do some Thetford fighting first. And you can do that with the Thetford Elite. You guys will invite them into groups without putting them into Discord, so they're part of the mindless crew that follows you?
Yes, but they won't be a part of the main parties.
But you have to earn your way in before. Okay. All right.
Yes.
All right. And so this is also the barrier to getting that re-gear, I guess.
Right, and then you have to be a member of the Thetford Elite Guild.
Okay, all right, because last time we talked, you said that you would even re-gear people who weren't part of the guild if they were following directions well and being part of the team and had earned their spot there, and you just wanted to reward those who put in the effort. Has something changed because of the cost of re-gears?
No. I said that because there was like time, there was Black Zone guilds, but most of them just regulars. So there was like a bunch of arch people on our regular parties. There was like other Black Zone guilds in our parties, but individuals, of course. So sometimes I regeared them, sometimes Jay regeared them, but most of them eventually joining up to Thetford Elite because they see how it is and how it's fun and accessible content 24/7. So they just leave the Black Zone guilds and join us.
I see how it is. So you grease the palms a little bit. You say, okay, guys, don't worry. You can come join us. It's going to be fun. We're going to go kill some guys from Fort Sterling. We may win. We may lose. But we're going to get those damn points. Don't worry, guys. Guys, I know you're bangers. I know you're bangers. We got you covered. Don't worry. I got you. We'll help you out on the down low.
Yeah, absolutely, Shozen. Money talks.
All right. Okay, I see how it works. Okay. As long as you're building the ranks, and it sounds like you are. How big is the Thetford Elite Guild, and have you had to expand yet to more than one guild? Because with 1,200 people in the Discord, it sounds like you have quite a few knights running around.
Yeah, I'll talk about that. We actually are pretty exclusive. We vet every member. We don't just accept members if they, have less than 5 million fame. So we actually have a pretty significant interview process where, if they've run with us a couple times and, they're doing a good job, we'll invite them on the spot. And so we do vet our members because we want Thetford Elite to actually be elite, right? It's not elite if the members are pretty new and need a lot of help and they come with less than 1,000 IP gear. So we really emphasize the elite portion. But for the first couple members, we did allow some new members who were newer, did not know much about the game, and we're keeping them around, right? Because they joined at the time when we were still beginning. But for now, we have about 50 members, and we want to keep it about 50 to 100. We don't want to be like maxed out. We want to be a very personal guild where you can get access to the first 2-3 parties.
So it's more about using the guild as a tool to build an army outside of it, and not about using the army to build your guild. Your guild is going to stay small as an elite fighting force, and you use that to motivate the masses of Thetford and go, these are your elite fighting forces, get behind us, follow us, and be quiet in comms.
Yeah, I think they don't mind the guild tag that much. As long as you are with us and fighting in the red zone between bandits or off bandit times, and you get too familiar to us, and you can just come around, and we probably share the loot with you if you died, or we just gonna regear you if it's my fault or caller's fault, or it was like unlucky situation after all. So yeah, we don't mind the guild tag, that's for sure.
All right. Well, that's good to hear. One of the things you guys were talking about last time was how this is a great way to be a great accessibility tool. Like it helps you get into large scale PvP and prepare for the other types of large scale PvP. And it even sounds like you're drawing some people out of that other style of PvP into your own in some ways with pulling other members out of the black zone. How do you make it accessible to everybody else? How do you make this ZVZ gameplay available to all members of Thetford?
I think SPI hit great success with this content, because for speaking about Thetford, the content is always near us. It's like 2 zone away, and you are ready to jump in the red zone full scale or medium scale PvP action. Like we are always in the center of the content as a Thetford faction. It's just it's 24/7, like I said earlier, small to medium size, or even bandit times large scale fights.
And then in terms of like accessibility, I think if you want to be competitive in ZVZ gear, in a ZVZ, you need the gear for it. And that's why we do regears for our top members. So accessibility, being able to go maybe 2 zones to Camland and seeing a cluster queue. I think it's amazing. I think it's a great opportunity for these newer players that maybe have been running solo, or they're part of like a small guild of friends and family, to experience, being under a shot caller, dropping E's and kiting and fighting a bigger force. I think that's content that you don't see in the red zone, right? It's usually small scale, 10v10, 20v20, not these 60 versus 60 battles that we're seeing now. And I think it's an exciting time to be part of Thetford, because not only are we first, but everyone's trying to gun for us. Just earlier, we saw that all 4 factions, there was Bridgewatch, Limhurst, and Fort Sterling, and us in Camland. So it's exciting to see that, they know where the content is. They know that we're going to bang if it's kind of a fair fight, and everyone's going to have a good time. Someone's going to lose gear, but at the end of the day, there's going to be content. Where Black Zone, it's like maybe you run 12, 15 zones, wait in a castle for 3 hours. It can be very tiring. I think those old veteran players who, know Black Zone, know how to ZVZ, can get some immediate content fighting for their faction.
It sounds like a great way to encourage people to join up and get them in. If you can guarantee them only a 2 zone run into a immediate content situation, where in the other 3 groups or 4 groups that they're going to run into aren't holding hands, they're not going to all work together to flatten you, they aren't part of some massive coalition, they're very likely to blow each other up just as well as blow you up. And that can be a lot of fun when there's a true 3-way or 4-way battle on a field. When you each have 60 members out there, that can be a lot of fun. Just the positioning of it and getting into the right spot to attack becomes actual content. It's really cool when you get to see fights like that are not just everybody run to the center or the nearest choke and just fight from there where we have a defensive position, but actually have to worry about where everybody else is because they could hit either side. It's very cool.
Also, it's like a great opportunity for the not established black zone guilds to practice there and hone their skills in the ZVZ area as well. Because some of the fights we took, it's like the almost high-end ZVZ IP and the skill set level.
Do you see a lot of that, of black zone guilds coming out to represent a city to just practice their ZVZ skills to get better at them? I do know that there are some guilds out there that regularly show up. I'm a fan of Zorn, and I watch them fight from Fort Sterling occasionally.
Yeah, the Zorn was the nemesis while I fight with the Rag. Yeah, they were pretty good. And I see a bunch of them from Limers, Ridgewash, for Static, but not as much as we should in the Thetford area. Because, the Thetford Black Zone is like one big all renting area. So we don't get much Thetford guilds coming for us. So that's why we encourage more Black Zone guilds to come for fight Thetford, because you're going to fight from the underdog and you're going to fight harder fight. It's like the New Game Plus, if you know the Dark Souls, like the fighting for Thetford is like that.
Well, you'd think that maybe because they are those renting guilds and they don't really get to fight for themselves, that they might actually come down out of the black zones and fight for you guys so they could actually enjoy some of that style of content.
Yeah, I hope. Thetford needs more black zone representative guilds in the faction warfare, that's for sure.
And going forward, how do you feel about your position, other than not having enough black zone guilds representing Thetford? How do you feel about your position? You said you have the fewest members, really? You have the fewest fighting for you,
yes,
but you are the most dedicated towards getting points. Do you feel like that works well for you in this situation where you're generally going to get like a greater share of the profits?
I mean, the profit wasn't the case. We're just trying to build a community. So we are slowly building that community, and I think we are in the right path. We have such a good support, and once they see we are doing good or somewhat organized in the Bandit events, the more people are coming towards our way anyway. So we are doing good, but we could be better, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I just want to expand. We are taking this a slow, methodical approach. I know we gained 1,200 members in 6 weeks, and I know that's unsustainable, but we need to keep developing our core. We got a couple new shot callers into the Discord that are experienced. They're coming back to the game, and I feel like if we keep on attracting those older members, older players back to the game, and they see the appeal of faction warfare, I think you're going to see, some increased popularity in Albion. You're going to see some more active players. Maybe you'll see more cluster queues in the next couple months. But ultimately, I think if you incentivize these players, you come out with some new faction rewards, maybe reward the faction that wins the monthly event with something special, maybe a new chest or something. I think it'd be great for the game.
Yeah, I think last time we talked about incentives for faction warfare players as well a little bit, because you guys feel that there isn't quite enough for the highest end players of faction warfare, the people who are doing the best, the Archmaguses, if you will, the people who win the most elite levels. You have a lot of situations where, like you said, you're not getting representation for your success. Like there's not really anything for the guys who win the season, or it's not even a season. It's like what's a sub season, right? Faction warfare season is like a month. Yeah. So if you guys win those, you want something special, like your own chest for doing that, or some kind of thing that changes your title in some way, or even the little tag that you guys get for being members of Thetford. We have the crystal ring around the people who get crystal rank for the season, something like that, maybe for your shield. Anything that really designated you guys as victors is something that you guys would be in favor of, really, right?
Yeah,
definitely. I think it helps again.
Yeah, just to show who last month's victors were. I'm sorry, go ahead, Ckx.
Thetford, we already won the 75% of the campaign, so it will be nice to at least somewhat indication of that, because it was a really hard work. First couple 2 victories led by Rack, and the last one led by us with the Jay and the Thetford and all the guys who participated.
Okay. We'd like to see people who win things get things, right? Isn't that what Albion's about?
Yeah, I guess.
It's something that makes you stand out. Anything at all. And one of the other things we talked about was, like you said, the Archmagus and the players who do really well. It would be very cool to see multiple levels of chests that could be achieved by people who rank up inside their faction rank. There's only certain chests that are available at the end of the season for people who've achieved the top 5 ranks or something like that, to really motivate people to try to be the best on their faction and to make their faction the best. If there's a certain rank of chest that's only available to people who won that season's faction warfare event, or only for people who had 100 plus kills in red zone faction warfare, so you have something that distinguishes yellow and red, so that you can really encourage more people to get involved in the lethal PvP as well, right? You wanted to see something to distinguish the lethal rewards from the non-lethal yellow rewards, because it's, I believe you said that it's very similar and that you can just do it with a little bit more time, get the same rewards that you do in red in yellow.
Yeah, exactly. The yellow zone gives almost as much as points in the red zone, but it takes a little bit more time. But it's like risk-free. You only risk your repair build, and other than that, you can do that all day. But not in the case of red zone, because you need to gather and organize groups to capture red zones and actually win the fights to get the points, because you're gonna get some content once you move towards the Carleon areas.
Right, and it could be as simple as just differentiating between the two and saying, hey, these are yellow points, these are red points. Red points are more valuable. And then with, say, 100,000 red points, now you can buy this this faction cape that's exclusive to those who are fighting in the red zone.
Speaking of faction rewards specifically, like you're saying, the capes there, we talked last time about the mounts and how we just don't see very many mounts used because of their cost. You said that they were in the 3 million silver range?
About, yes.
And that just makes them far too expensive to use for their ability when you dismount and lose the advantage of being mounted. The reason that the other battle mounts can be so expensive is because they keep you alive. But if you have to demount to use your ability, and it's still over 1 million silver to bring that mount to a battle, you're going to see very few people using them. And if they're so rare that they're millions of silver, you make them an exclusive use tool. People aren't just, they're not going to be the fun thing that they, I believe, were intended to be. Having a few of them every fight where people, use them tactically to their advantage. You're just not seeing that out there. They're very, very rare.
They are pretty exclusive to yellow zones, because the cost and benefit they provide is like little, maybe mediocre at most. So yeah.
Yeah, you just the cost to benefit ratio just isn't there. You can't risk 1 million, 2 million silver in an outpost. How much are the rewards for the Bandit event? Like, if you were to have a really good Bandit event, what would your rewards be?
It depends the fight you took and captured zones, but it's between around 40k to 50k. But sometimes it can bump up to with 100k if you got the multiplier.
Okay, but that's for each one. Like, if you like the whole, say you went out for a whole event, what would your total gross be on that?
I mean, if we did well, it's like 100k all around.
Okay,
that's the medium line. Yeah.
So you don't want to risk 100k plus your, sorry, not 100k. So 1 million to 3 million for your mount, plus whatever you're bringing for your standard gear set. That's a lot for 100k on the line, and some bragging rights. Needs to, at least that mount needs to come down a little bit so you could use it. I mean, if it was 500k, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, the cost all depends on the mats and the hearts.
Right. I don't think, honestly, we need to change the mount itself, but we could reduce the amount of hearts it costs to craft them, the amount of leather. We can look at it that way. So reduce that. I think that will shift the price down lower. But if we can get the price into about the 500 to 1 million, maybe 750 range, I think you'll see a lot more use of the elite mounts. And you'll see that now we're going to bring a new aspect to the game where if you have players who are on a mount and they use that mount expertly, then they can contribute to your raid winning over. I think it would be great. Right now, 3 million range, I think economy-wise, it's not viable for players to bring that to events. Now, Thetford Elite would love to bring at least one in each party, but I have a couple myself, but right now I think the price point is not worth just losing, especially if we get caught out. Now we're just donating significant loot back.
Yeah, I agree with you on that 100%. I think if you could reduce the cost of the building of the mount, the raising of the mount, that would go a long way to making more people be able to use them. And getting them out there onto the field is really what would be most important. Is there anything else you'd like to go over quick before we do some shout-outs?
Ckx, you want to go first?
Yeah, I guess I can. Like, the faction warfare content is pretty well organized, and it holds its ground for like our daily basis, but it can be improved upon, such as we got out the rewards and the risk versus reward in yellow zone and red zone. But yeah, I guess we, as a Thetford and as a Thetford Elite, we just need more presence in the ZVZ aspect, and we need more people, and we need to encourage those by the rewards or either good fights we're gonna take.
Content is king. I got to agree, content is king. And if you can't get great rewards, but you can get great content, people are still going to do it.
I'd just like to add one interesting thought that I've had in the past. And this is just basically because I used to be a plot owner in Thetford, but if you could somehow tie in plot ownership, maybe increase the bonuses for crafting or refining if your faction won, I think that would be a huge boost to seeing more people like me who have significant silver backing those faction warfare groups to go out and participate. Maybe those plot owners of their respective cities, maybe can see that, hey, if I can contribute, we will have way more exciting content and bigger and more established raids now supporting the factions because they want those bonuses, right? I know the fame bonuses are huge. The one this week, it's pretty significant. But if you could do maybe a 5-10% boost to the city for the entire month, that that faction was declared the winner, I think you'll see a lot more involvement from these plot owners, which they have significant money. If they could use that in the right way, that would be awesome. That would be great for the game.
That's a very interesting idea, giving some kind of reason to the plot owners to invest in the war that's going on for their city, that it has some kind of effect on what they do. And right now, each city does have bonuses that they get and are distinct for each city. So you could theoretically give bonuses as a season reward, one of those monthly rewards, if they weren't too high.
Right.
My worry on this would be that you would see once money gets involved in something,
Mm-hmm.
that's when the politics becomes part of the game. And the great thing about faction warfare is that politics remain largely outside of it and content drives it rather than rewards. And once somebody can start making a profit from it, once one of the groups that runs one of these cities realizes it can get profit from controlling the faction warfare, you will see those players who are good at manipulation start working to build relationships that say, okay, we're going to let you have the reward in November and you can have the reward in December and we'll take the reward in July. Because once the silver's involved, conflict often goes down.
Absolutely. So you need to be careful about how much you're doing. So it's got to be enough, but not too much to avoid those politics, right?
Right. It has to be enough to draw them in, but not so different between the victor and like number two that you see a situation where they're manipulating the market and manipulating the wars. Because right now the wars are good because there's very little political manipulation.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I can narrow it down to individual level. So right now, all the red zone players is suffering huge silver costs because of the gear they lose. And let's be honest, like they have to get their fames up with the campaign chats they buy for 9k points. So maybe we can just increase the rewards for red zone players for that fame buff, like the more books they get, so they don't have to feel left behind while doing red zone. Because let's be clear, if you are like 700 and 700 ZB setup, you most likely be going to be playing the black zone guild anyway. So maybe we can increase the rate of framing up those new guys who try to catch up in the ZVZ world while doing the lethal content. So that might be somewhat decent boost for the red zone contenters, I guess.
Yeah. I think something should be done for this, to be quite honest, but you know, it's one of those situations where it has to be handled with a very delicate touch, not a hammer. Do we want to do some shout outs to some of the members of the Thetford Elite and call them out for their great participation and all they've done to make Thetford go from last place and bottom, a joke, if you will, to one of the best and fighting for number one on a daily, on a monthly basis?
For sure. You know, I really owe a lot to CKX, but, you know, there were other members behind the scenes that were leading groups. The most significant of which is Ben Mage. I know Ben Mage, we, you know, luckily found him. He moved solo, but he was already leading some yellow zone, red zone content. And he's done wonders for the guild. He's basically my number two. And then we have some other officers too that are top 10 in terms of faction rank, like Lopin. We've got Bitchy. We've got some guys out there that are really contributing a lot to the guild, and I think they are the reason why the guild is growing and being successful with each raid. Thanks.
Yeah, I would like to shout out to other factions that they're not hand-holding, at least so far. And I would like to shout out to RAC, the Russian guild that carried us for 2 months, and we hope to see them in the near future.
Yeah, it's a shame that we don't see much RAC anymore. They were a great fixture of the world of Albion. I still remember the chants of rack, rack, rack. All right, well, thank you guys so much for being with me today and discussing faction warfare, the good, the bad, and I guess a little bit of the ugly even. It's been eye-opening for me to hear about different aspects of this, and I really have appreciated your feedback that you gave me even outside of our interview, and we will see what we can do to improve faction warfare, because it sounds like it's fun. It sounds like it's a great experience for people to get into. If you want to experience large-scale PvP, there are easy ways to get involved in it, and it even has a very nice ranking system to bring you up into the upper echelons of PvP and prepare you for Black Zone PvP ZVZ life. So I do encourage you all to get into some faction warfare. And yeah, guys, thank you once again. Anything else you want to say before I let you go?
Yeah, really quick. I know I didn't thank the other factions, but I just want to say thank you to all the members of Albion who do participate in faction warfare, whether it's daily, weekly, or monthly. You guys are the reason why we play this game. You know, it's a community. I think we're all in this together. Without you guys, there would be no content. So huge shout out to you guys who are keeping the faction warfare content alive.
Yeah, thank you for having us, and see you at the Commonwealth.
All right, I'll see you guys on the field of battle. Talk to you later.